Hello, you're listening to or watching the More Than Roommates podcast. I'm Dan.
And I'm more than his roommate, Graham.
Oh, that's the name of the title. And then if you're watching, you might see Pepper flinging a toy in the background. We finally found one that she actually plays with. She has never been...
She's not a toy dog.
No,
she
only
her,
plays...
Her only game is Chase. And it's not like a fun game. It's the most exhausting game
she'll
ever.
Bark at you until you chase. So this one you can stuff food in, of course. It's oh my gosh. 1 second. We're back. But yes, of course it's food oriented, so she loves it. You can put like snacks in it.
It's scent oriented too for just the beagle.
When she was a puppy, I used to she had a Kong. She'll figure it out. She will. She had a Kong, and I would freeze peanut butter in it every day. And then while I was at work, she would lick the peanut butter. So this is about kind of the same thing. But she knew how to fling the Kong. Like she would just throw it over her shoulder.
That's what she does with that one too. She'll grab it's like kind of an irregular shape. I guess that's kind of like a hexagon type middle, but there are two little things on the end where you can stuff treats. She likes to, grab onto it and fling it out. Yeah. She's wild.
Well, I apologize for the inconsistent uploads.
It was brat summer.
Busy, just doing stuff. And I was just kind of going with the flow. Had a haunted movie night. We got the projector out, and that was fun. So we were in fall season. Ready for
saying goodbye to summer.
Yep, we got our coffees. I had my first pumpkin spice drink of the year. Like, this isn't pumpkin spice. This is the same thing you got.
I was like, did they have
No, I just got pumpkin spice coffee creamer, so we've been doing that. Okay, getting into the topic of today.
Yeah, what are we going to talk about?
So there's an NBC article that kind of was interesting to me, but it was a study that was done, and it said, surprisingly, that gay male couples tend to live on coastal cities, and then lesbian couples tend to live in more rural areas.
And this is all based on the 2020 census data. Mm-hmm. I did a little bit of digging on that too. I think I could be wrong, but from what I read, it sounded like this is the first census where they actually even had like inclusive questions. To identify yourself as a gay couple or a lesbian couple, which that kind of makes me wonder how, we were both living here during the 2020 census, remember?
Yeah. Did we fill it out?
And we would have filled it out, but how did we identify? I don't remember if it, we could pick domestic partnership or
more than roommates, right? So I guess everyone was just considered roommates beforehand. So,
exactly.
So this article said, counties with the highest concentration of male same-sex couple households were some that included San Francisco, Manhattan, Boston, Washington, D.C. And some of the highest concentrations of female same-sex couples were in Hampshire and Franklin counties in the Berkshires, a rural region of western Massachusetts that is home to several colleges, art museums, and theaters. And then it goes into saying, this, kind of plays into stereotypes, but also there are stereotypes for a reason, so that kind of plays into it.
There's always a little bit of truth rooted.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still... No one wants to be stereotyped. It's still dangerous to, try to aggregate that over everyone.
Correct.
People... it takes away the individuality.
Oh,
really
for sure.
Thing,
but something that was brought up in this article that I thought was another interesting thing that we could talk about was they said that gender pay inequity may be a factor as well, because you have a two male same-sex couple, you have two men making money, and sadly there is still that gender pay gap. And so they can afford to live in those more expensive cities on the coast. Whereas
San Francisco is one of the most expensive places in the U.S. I think you can live. You would almost have to be like we are, a dink, dual income, no kids. If you haven't heard that,
We have a kid.
Yeah, I guess we do have a child.
Yeah.
She looks like a hunchback right now.
Yeah. But
yeah, so do you want to dig into those like stereotypes a little bit to just kind of back
like
it up? Like why do you think that is? Like for me with I guess like a lesbian couple, you know, it kind of goes back to, sorry, the dogs. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna pause. Okay, so we are back. We've got the Pepper situated under the blanket on the couch, so hopefully she'll be calm for the rest of this. But
yeah.
I wanted to just kind of dig into some of those stereotypes. Like, why do you think it is the way it is?
I don't know. I mean, would you rather live in a coastal city or a rural city, as you personally?
I mean, we are sort of an anomaly because we're more like suburban type gays, which I mean, yes, we're in like a metropolitan area, and would I prefer to go live in a big city? Probably.
Yeah,
but I
on the
also
coast.
like my space too, so I don't know if I can like 100% say like we're gonna jump right in that box. Like, yeah, would I like to have a beach house, you know, in LA or just, you know, San Diego? Sure, but
I would love to have like a creepy cabin in the woods. So I would group me in with the lesbians on that one. That's where I'd like to be.
So yeah, let's talk a little more on that. Like, is it like, I don't know, like stereotypes to me, it's like maybe they're playing off like all men are like effeminate and like lesbians are like have more masculine qualities. Like they would be one of like a pastoral setting would be like somewhere out like taking care of like goats or like having a farm is kind of how I view that. I don't know.
I think that's the extreme of the stereotype. And
right.
But I don't know. I mean, I don't know why they're that way or why stereotypes exist, but I mean, I would say like we would lean into more wanting to live on the coast, so maybe we would fall into that. But I think it's just interesting about this pay gap, and that also factors into being able to afford to live in those more expensive cities.
Yeah.
But I did think it was interesting. My hometown of St. Louis made the list as one of the top. There are some overlap between the 10 cities and counties with the largest share of female and male same-sex couples: Washington, D.C., Richmond, Virginia, and St. Louis, which I just thought was crazy. Like, growing up in St. Louis, I didn't think there was... especially in my community, I didn't think there was a lot of gay representation. So it's just... interesting to me that there are a lot of gay couples on there. So
yeah, definitely. I think honestly what it comes down to is just kind of like the dynamic of where you choose to live. Like, where do you feel safe? Where do you feel like comfortable? Where do you feel like you're getting the most out of your life too, you know? And I mean, obviously like bigger cities just have more amenities too. I mean,
yeah. Oh, I do. Talking back about the census, it says in its current form, the once a decade census captures LGBTQ people only if they're living together as spouses or partners through queries about household relationships, which is only about a sixth of the LGBTQ population in the U.S.,
which is already
according
such
to
a
some
small
estimates.
Part of the population anyway. So
as a result, it misses people who are single or are not cohabitating, as well as transgender people. So,
and I feel like it's also maybe there could be an age component. I feel like a lot of young people, they like to go out and, maybe I didn't do this, but a lot of young people like to go explore, move to a big city, like meet a bunch of new people. There could also be that dynamic too, but it'd be interesting to know. So I guess a fallout would technically just group them as being like a person saying they're single in the census, just going to the broader data set, I guess.
Yeah.
So I guess you do lose a little bit of that. It'd be interesting to see kind of how that develops, in the future. Can they
Yeah.
hone in on, more precise statistics? Are people comfortable with that? I don't know. You tell us, like, how do you trust giving your data to the
Census.
government? The
Yeah.
census, like, it's important. A lot of funding comes from that,
Yes.
like
I don't
that's
think
how they know how many people are living in like your city or township or wherever you might be. You get federal funding based on that, as I
Yeah, I
understand
think
it.
that
So
is my little acknowledgement. People, please fill out that stuff because
yeah,
that is how cities get funded
right.
because you based off of population.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think there is something too to think about, for people that aren't out, maybe moving across the country and then finding their own
Mm-hmm.
accepted space. And I think that was also something that was mentioned in the article is that, some of these places are, you have those typical places that you come to mind that would be gay friendly,
Mm-hmm.
like California and stuff.
New York, I mean, think about where the first riot happened that kind of created pride. It was at a bar in New York City, when people rose up against police brutality.
Right.
Like, they were invading on queer spaces. Like, they're what they call gayborhoods in like these
Mm,
big cities. And then there are even like cities that are like well known to just be like queer type cities, like Palm Springs, California. I think it's pretty well known for like as being like a gay male place
area.
to live or go visit or whatever too. So
And I think that goes hand in hand is once there's already that notoriety that it is like a gay place to live, of course
mm-hmm.
you're going to attract more people to
Because
go
you feel
move there.
it's
Yeah,
like
you want to feel included in
yeah,
your neighborhood and you want to feel like you're, especially as a gay couple, you don't want to live
you're
in.
building a literal community
Mhm.
for sure. Yeah, there's a lot to it.
Yeah.
I had a few other little notes here. Let's see
Yeah, I will
here.
say it has been exciting. Our community here has been kind of building up the gay culture, and it's been really exciting to find more LGBTQ people in our community. I'd
Yeah,
like to get some of them on the podcast,
that would be
especially
fun.
that are the people that are putting together these events. So
Mm-hmm.
while we're waiting, if you have any topics or anything you'd like us to discuss, and if you're not subscribed, please subscribe or follow us on whatever you're listening to.
Yeah, we would really appreciate it.
Yeah, we're
Trying to.
keeping that hustle going.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Yeah, what else would you want to talk about? I was kind of looking at some like intersex, like
Statistics.
yeah,
Mm,
kind of relevant. I was curious, like what how like urban development, maybe like population density, which we've kind of touched on quite a bit of that, and even like gentrification of
mm,
neighborhoods, like where I read it sounded like a lot of historic LGBTQ neighborhoods have been gentrified. It says it's turned a lot of, once like radical spaces into trendy, expensive areas too. So some
dang.
people will eventually get priced out of that too. Um, it and that could go either way,
Mm-hmm.
like people in the community could both be, I guess, a contributor to that gentrification and also ultimately victimized, if
Yeah.
you don't have the means
Means
to
to.
live where you want to live. But yeah, it all comes down to, again, the class, Oh, she's
Yeah.
awake.
Yes. Well, we might have to be wrapping this up so we can take her for a WALK, but hopefully
Yeah.
we'll be getting on more frequently. I think I've got a couple ideas in the book, but always looking for more. I want to know your thoughts on where, like, that statistic, we can include it in the
Yeah.
bio if you want to read into
Are you
it.
surprised by kind of where people tend to cluster based on, they're a male or a
Yeah.
female gay couple, gay lesbian?
If you're gay, let
Where
us know
where
what
would you?
place you want to live or where you're
Yeah.
currently at. What's your address? Put it in there. No, don't put your
Don't dox yourself,
don't dox
please.
yourself. But like, I want to hear your overall thoughts on that.
Yeah.
What are your takeaways?
It's kind of yeah. I'd say like my final thought is, I guess ultimately it's not surprising the
No,
way it landed, but
no.
it only took them how many census?
Yeah, it did say in this that this was the first
Yeah, right.
census that you could say same sex
And I
or
wonder how
opposite
many,
sex.
like, when did the U.S. even start tracking the census? I wonder.
Mm.
I'm sure it's been decades,
Yeah.
hundreds of years. Oh, she's back
going
on
back to
Treat
her
the
toy.
Troll. Okay, well, yeah, that was all I had. Did
Okay.
you any final thoughts from
think
you?
that is it. Well, again, subscribe and keep the comments coming, and we will see you next time.
All right, thank you.